So the story is, I'm working for a client and they're promoting a language learning app to learn English to many different markets and many different languages. And the purpose of this video is to just illustrate the effectiveness of Midjourney when it comes to marketing, specifically for driving app installs. But before we get to that, I want to show you the benchmark data of CTR. Now, CTR is the amount of people that see your ad compared to the amount of people that click on it. So it says for carousel ads, which can come in the form of images or videos that you can just scroll through, that's 0.3 to 0.85. That basically means roughly 300 people would have to see your ad for 0.3 for it to correspond to one click on the ad. Whereas if it's 1%, it would be 100 people seeing the ad and then one person clicking on the ad. Okay, so that's the difference. And that's how much of a difference it can really make to driving app installs. Now I'll show you what I've been getting with my carousel ads that I've been running. And it's been as high as 2%, 1.79, 1.75%. And this has been through a framework of mine called F.R.A.M.E that I've been using. I'll go through it briefly in this video, but there's also a link to the specific video with the guide in question down below in the description, so check that out. Now you may be wondering, okay, CTR, that's great, the amount of people that see your ad compared to the amount of people that click on it doesn't really make a difference, right? And on the surface, yeah, you'd be right? But actually, what if I told you that it's led to 16,000 app installs in the last 30 days alone? It's quite a bit. You can see the graph there. It's massively skyrocketed up because in part due to these Midjourney creatives. So that framework now is called F.R.A.M.E, and I'm going to go through it briefly here. Then I'm going to show a few examples and we'll go from there. So first we got focus and shot. So a side profile medium shot of a Senegalese man stood in the middle of Dakar. So they're focused on advertising to Senegal, which is a French speaking country, and like Dakar, which is of course the capital of Senegal, for those of you who don't know. I think it's Dakar or Dakar, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Apologies if I mispronounced it, but that's that. And so yeah, here's what we got: focus and shot, a side profile medium shot. So side profile would basically be from this angle like that, whereas frontal shot would be facing the front, of course. And yeah, that's basically the difference there. Medium shot would be like the shoulder level up, or it could even be the waist up, of a Senegalese man stood in the middle of Dakar. Resolution, a DSLR camera. So in the resolution portion, you just discuss the camera details, the camera specifics. So a DSLR camera is a camera that is used to take pictures of, and a mirrorless camera is a camera that's used for video recording. So this is a mirrorless camera that's recording me right now. And aperture is, the lower you go on the aperture number or the f-stop number, that's what aperture is, the more light is let into the lens, and as a byproduct of that as well, the background is typically a little bit more blurry as well compared to like an f5.6 aperture, for instance. That would be very evenly in focus for the whole image. Ambience, you can go into details about the time of day, the weather, basically anything else of like the scenery as well a little bit. So on the streets of like New York, that would fit under like ambience, for instance. So yeah, taken during midday, that's what I've gone for with ambience. And then mood and palette, the image has a contemplative feel to it. And if you're wondering what these colons are and numbers, I'll get to that shortly after I've read this prompt out. And then extras here, you basically go into detail about what the person is wearing if you want, or if there's any props in the image that you would like to pay attention to specifically. Now you may be wondering, this is a very long prompt, and Midjourney typically has a lot of trouble in being able to stress each parts of your prompt that you've included, specifically if it's very long and it's like 3 sentences or more. So how do you get around this? It's something called weighting, and these, colons and numbers that you saw appended to the end of the colon, that is referred to as weighting. And you can have different numbers which correspond to a different level of weighting that you have towards a specific part of a prompt, and that's what I've done here. So I wanted to really stress the nationality of the man and the camera shot, as well as where he is kind of based, right? So he's based, of course, in the capital of Senegal. He's Senegalese, and we wanted to really stress the medium shot there. So that's why we went with the 2 colons and the 4. So quite a bit of stress there. But I wanted to really stress the contemplative feel, because if we go back and we go into the carousel ad that generated, 2% click-through rate, this had a very contemplative feel to it, right? Very doom and gloom to very happy. And by the way, this specific creative I had created in a previous video, so I can leave a link to that down below so you can get access. How you use it basically is, these are the settings that I've gone with. So I've gone with a portrait 5 to 6, or you can go with a square 1:1. That's really good and versatile as an aspect ratio, because let's say for instance you wanted to upload it to Google Ads. If you go with an aspect ratio like 16:9 or 1:1, that's usually a good medium through which you can, go 9:16, which is like a phone vertical aspect ratio or something like that. So that's why I've stuck with 5:6 or 1:1 aspect ratio. And in the aesthetics section, you want to make sure that you dial all of the parameters here to 0, because the more you go on the side of 0 for stylization, weirdness and variety, the more of a realistic result that you'll get on the other end of your prompt. And then you also second that by going to raw, having that selected as well, and then those two things in tandem with one another equals a really real and realistic result. And then I've gone with fast because I don't want to expend too many GPU hours, and this is the images that we got. So I just basically copied and pasted each of the elements of F.R.A.M.E once it was done into this prompt, and then of course put it within Midjourney, and this is what I got there. So now let's say you wanted to create that as a consistent character. How would you go about doing that? So you click on the image that you prefer, you go down here, it says use image style or prompt. You just click on the first one where it says use image, and then hover over the image and you'll get these 3 options here presented in front of you. So the first one, the person icon, is character reference. That's what we're going to be using. Second one is style reference, and the third one is image prompt. So we're just going to be going with the first one, which is character reference. So click on that, and then you don't have to be granular in detail this time around because we're actually referencing the character in question. You can just type way less details and it will get the gist of what you're trying to do. Then for the consistent character, I just went with this. So a man studying in a cafe in the middle of central London. I didn't go into specifics about the emotions here or anything like that. I just wanted to stress the simplicity and the difference between your actual prompt using F.R.A.M.E and then the character consistent prompt as well, to get the same person just in a different situation. So a man studying in a cafe in the middle of central London, and that's what it came up with. And I did --R5 at the end, so --R5, and that really helps to generate 5 different renditions or 5 different variations of the same exact prompt. Okay, and that's what it did. So that's what I've did. Again, part of the reason of why it's generated 16,000 app installs, with the utilization of using that in Facebook ad as well as Google ads. So that's it. If you have any feedback in this video, feel free to comment down below, or if you'd like to see something more, feel free to also do the same. I've been Vay, you've been watching AI Evolved, and until next time, peace.